Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindscape. Ever wonder why some kids grow up confident and successful while others struggle with self-worth? It all starts with one thing: parenting. Number 1. Authoritative parenting. It is a balanced approach where parents are both loving and firm. They set clear rules, but also listen to their kids and explain the reasons behind those rules. This style helps kids feel safe because they know what's expected of them, but they also feel respected because their opinions matter. For example, if a child asks to stay out late, an authoritative parent might say, "You need to be home by 9 p.m. because it's a school night, but if you want to stay out later on the weekend, we can talk about it." This shows the child that their needs are considered, but rules are in place for their well-being. Authoritative parents also encourage independence. If a child struggles with homework, instead of doing it for them, an authoritative parent might say, "I know this is tough, but I believe you can figure it out. Let's break it down together." This way, the child learns to solve problems and gains confidence. Kids raised with this style tend to grow up more confident, responsible, and emotionally strong. They know they can make choices, but they also understand there are boundaries. It's like finding the sweet spot between being strict and letting go too much. In short, authoritative parenting is about setting limits with love and respect, so kids learn to be strong and independent while feeling supported. Number 2. Authoritarian parenting. This parenting style is all about control, with strict rules and high expectations. In this style, parents are more focused on discipline than on warmth or emotional support. The motto is basically, "My way or the highway." Parents set firm rules, and breaking them usually leads to punishment, without much room for discussion or flexibility. For example, imagine a child gets a bad grade in school. An authoritarian parent might immediately ground the child without asking why the grade was low or offering help to improve. The focus is on the mistake, not on understanding the child's perspective or helping them learn from it. Another example could be a curfew rule. If a child is 5 minutes late, an authoritarian parent might take away privileges for a week, without considering whether the child had a reasonable excuse like traffic or a school event. Children raised in this environment tend to be very obedient because they fear the consequences of breaking the rules. However, they might struggle with self-confidence and decision-making since they are rarely allowed to express their opinions or make choices. They often feel like they have to walk on eggshells around their parents. In the long run, authoritarian parenting can lead to children who either become super dependent on rules and authority or rebel against it entirely. It's like being in a constant, strict boss relationship at home, where there's little room for open communication or trust. Number 3. Permissive parenting. This is when parents are super laid back and don't really set many rules or boundaries for their kids. They're usually very loving and warm, but they let their children do pretty much whatever they want. The idea is to let the kids feel free and happy, but sometimes this can lead to problems with discipline and self-control. For example, if a child refuses to eat dinner and wants ice cream instead, a permissive parent might say, "Okay, you don't have to eat your dinner if you don't want to. Let's have ice cream." The child gets what they want, but they don't learn about balance or making healthy choices. Another example is bedtime. If the parent sets bedtime at 9 p.m., but the child keeps playing video games until midnight, a permissive parent might say, "It's okay. I know you're having fun. You can stay up late." The child may enjoy it in the moment, but over time, they might struggle with routines and discipline. While permissive parents mean well and want their kids to feel loved and happy. This style often leads to children having trouble with self-discipline, boundaries, and listening to authority. They might grow up thinking they can always get their way, which can cause issues later in life with school, work, and relationships. In short, permissive parenting is all about love and freedom, but often misses the mark when it comes to teaching responsibility and limits. Number 4. Neglectful, uninvolved parenting is when parents are really hands-off, almost to the point of not being involved in their child's life. They don't set rules, and they're not very responsive to the child's emotional or physical needs. This parenting style can happen for many reasons, like the parent being overwhelmed with their own issues, or simply not realizing how much their child needs attention. For example, if a child comes home from school excited to show a drawing they made, a neglectful parent might be too busy with their phone or work to even look up. The child feels ignored and unimportant, which can hurt their self-esteem. Another example is if a child skips school or gets into trouble. A neglectful parent might not notice or care. They might say something like, "Do whatever you want," instead of guiding the child or stepping in to help solve the problem. Children who grow up with neglectful parenting often feel disconnected and might struggle with relationships, school, and self-worth. They might act out to get attention or go the opposite way and become very independent because they had to learn to take care of themselves. In short, neglectful parenting isn't just about being busy. It's about not meeting the emotional and practical needs of a child. Kids need love, attention, and guidance to feel secure and develop properly. Without it, they may feel lost and unsupported as they grow. Number 5. Parental impact on personality formation. The impact of parenting on personality development is huge. The way parents interact with their kids shapes who they become as adults. Different parenting styles can influence personality traits like confidence, independence, or even anxiety. For instance, authoritative parents, the ones who set clear rules but are loving and open, usually raise kids who are confident and well-rounded. These kids learn to trust themselves and handle challenges well because they've had structure, but also room to make choices. For example, a child whose parents encourage them to speak up at family dinners is likely to grow up confident and comfortable sharing their opinions in different situations. On the other hand, authoritarian parenting, strict with little warmth, can make kids either super obedient or rebellious. They may follow rules out of fear, but inside they might feel anxious or unsure of themselves. Imagine a child who's always told, "Do as I say, no questions." This child might grow up to be someone who struggles with self-expression or has low confidence because they weren't allowed to make decisions or have a say. Kids raised by neglectful or permissive parents can also develop personality traits linked to insecurity or impulsiveness. If a child isn't given any guidance or boundaries, they might struggle with self-discipline later in life. Number 6. Cognitive and emotional health. Cognitive and emotional outcomes are how a child's thinking, learning, and emotional health develop based on their parenting. Different parenting styles can shape how kids handle problems, their emotions, and how they relate to others. For example, authoritative parenting, loving but firm, often leads to kids who are great problem solvers and emotionally stable. These children are taught to think through situations and manage their feelings because their parents guide them but also let them make decisions. Picture a child who is upset about losing a game. An authoritative parent might say, "I know you're frustrated, but let's talk about how you can do better next time." This helps the child learn to handle disappointment in a healthy way. On the flip side, permissive parenting, lots of love but no rules, can cause kids to struggle with controlling their emotions or thinking through consequences. Without clear boundaries, they might act on impulse. Imagine a child who throws a tantrum because they didn't get what they want, and the parent gives in to avoid a meltdown. The child learns that emotional outbursts work, so they may not learn how to manage frustration properly. Children raised by neglectful parents, who don't engage much often struggle with both cognitive and emotional development. They might feel lost or insecure because they didn't get the support they needed to develop healthy thinking patterns or emotional responses. Number 7. The lasting impact. Long-term effects of parenting styles show up in a child's adult life, shaping who they become, how they handle relationships, and their overall mental well-being. The way a child is raised leaves a lasting impact on their personality and life choices. For example, kids raised with authoritative parents, who are both loving and firm, tend to grow up into confident, well-adjusted adults. They know how to make decisions, manage emotions, and build healthy relationships because they were taught to balance independence with respect for boundaries. Picture someone who is good at managing stress at work because they were raised in a home where they learned to talk through problems and find solutions. On the other hand, kids with authoritarian parents, strict but not warm, may grow up anxious or struggle with self-worth. They're used to following rules without questioning them, which can make them unsure of themselves as adults. For example, someone raised in a very controlling household might have trouble making decisions on their own, or may rebel against authority in unhealthy ways. Children from neglectful homes, where parents weren't really involved, often grow up feeling insecure or disconnected. They may struggle to form close relationships because they didn't feel valued or supported growing up. In short, the way a child is raised sticks with them for life. Parenting that's balanced with love, structure, and respect leads to healthier, more capable adults, while neglect or overly strict control can cause struggles later on. Remember, how we parent today shapes who our kids will become tomorrow. Let's give them the best foundation we can. Tell us if you have learned anything from this video in the comments.